What's up, everybody? Ben Grove here with more Ascended Heroes Cube review. Once the set officially dropped, I realized that there was a pretty big card that I didn't think was going to be in the set, was actually in the set, so we're hopping back in to do basically an addendum to my initial Cube review. And the card in question is Poképad. Poképad allows you to search your deck for a Pokemon that doesn't have a rule box, reveal it, and put it in your hand, then shuffle your deck. Then the EXs, Vs, GXs, etc. Those are the rule box Pokemon, and that kind of shows how powerful Poképad is because it just basically will get anything else. And specifically, it's really just like akin to Master Ball, but not on an A spec, and you can have 4 of in your deck. And so I think when the meta's right in standard, when you're able to have like a 1 prize deck that's allowed to play 4 Poképad, that's going to be insane. And I kind of consider Poképad to be in a similar lineage of cards to like Scoop Up Net or Buddy Buddy Poffin. These cards that are very recent and they just have an absolutely cracked effect for non-rule box Pokemon. And Scoop Up Net is just non-Pokemon V or GX, which this was pre the rule box term coming out, but basically any 1 prize deck could run that and really make the deck work. You'd think back to the Inteleon decks of early Sword and Shield that was the engine that made those cards go. And nowadays, Buddy Buddy Poffin, it allows decks that right now a lot of the decks that are using it are 2 prize EX decks, but it allows decks that have evolving as part of their game plan to keep up with basic EX decks who are running 4 Nest Ball instead. Now, the one funny thing about Buddy Buddy Poffin is there's those random sad 80 HP guys that get missed by Buddy Buddy Poffin. Rip Turtwig. There's been some really cool Torterra cards lately, but they literally just haven't been able to be meta because they have 80 HP Turtwigs. So there's some weird corner cases for these cards like Scoop Up Net and Buddy Buddy Poffin and Poképad. But overall, they're really powerful, and we love them in standard because you can play 4 of this incredibly powerful effect. Now, on the flip side, in Cube, there are also still really great Cube cards. They're really great in the kind of one-of space. And I kind of did a check on Cube Koga before making this video of some of the top cubes. And while some of the top cubes don't have either Scoop Up Net or Buddy Buddy Poffin, a lot of them either have one or the other. And just as like a one-of effect. You don't want to like completely overload your cube with these kinds of effects because they really just kind of eclipse a lot of other cards out there. Like if your cube has 4 Buddy Buddy Poffin, the value of cards like Nest Ball or Pokemon Fan Club or Pokemon Collector just completely tanks. Or similar for like Scoop Up Net. If you have 4 Scoop Up Net in your cube, number one, that's kind of insane, and it distorts the value of different cards. It distorts the value of like big tanking strategies. It distorts the value of on-play effects. But in a one-of, it's pretty cool. Similar to Poképad too, I think there's a lot of cubes out there that have just like a one-of Master Ball right now. And Pokeball just kind of fits into a very similar space to it. Without hitting the A-spec restriction. So I'm excited to see this card in cubes going forward, and I think some of the best cubes that it can go into are ones that are really going to play with the rule box aspect in a couple different ways. So number one, I think cubes that are based around either like a Gen 7 or a more modern space that are including some of these rule boxes. I think specifically Gen 7 because Gen 7 has a really good cube environment for rule box mons with their GXs. Gen 8, I think Gen 8 is a little bit underexplored in the cube space, and Gen 9 is as well. But right now, like there's a really good Gen 7 cube space out there, and I think this Poképad could really slot easily into some Gen 7 cubes, kind of because it's like it has its counterpart in Gen 7. It's kind of the opposite of whatever the ball for GX is. That will search GXs. I don't remember what it is off the top of my head. So I think it's a really fair card in that power level, and it's maybe not a card that you're gonna pick as your first pick, depending on the avenue you want to go down or decks you're looking to play, because it's not gonna slot into all of them. Another space that I think is really great, and all the rules nerds out there will say, well, actually these cards aren't rule box cards because it doesn't say rule in the box. But I know a lot of cubes out there make an exception for Gen 3 lowercase EXs to be rule box Pokemon in their context, because they do have a box on them that has the rule that says that they're 2-prizers. It just doesn't say EX Pokemon rule in that box. So a lot of cubes that have made that into that they're a rule box mon, I think Poképad works really well in that space, because in that environment there's already a lot of the really good cards from that era that play back and forth with the EX based decks versus the non-EX decks, and actually the cards err on support for the non-EXs in that era. So like if you think about cards like Scramble Energy, DRE, or Desert Ruins, these are all cards that are meant to increase the power level for cards without the EX tag in them. So in this case, Poképad is a card that's upping the power level of cards that don't have a rule box, in this case the EXs. So I think that could be something that could be really explored, would be like maybe in like a Delta Mutant space, or the like the Delta Eevee cube or something like that. I think that could be cool. And then the final thing that I think could be a really interesting place for a card like Poképad. I know there's some cubes out there that like the only rule box mons that they have are cards like Shaman EX, where they're cards that aren't in there for their attacking prowess. They're in there for their effect. So like you got Shaman EX with setup, you've got Jirachi EX with I forget what the name of the ability is that gets the supporter from your deck. If you have cards that are just like consistency EXs in your cube, it can be kind of interesting. It's like, okay, it can get you a Pokemon that's part of your main attacking strategy in your deck, but it can't get you your one of Panic Shaman EX. So I think it could be interesting in those cubes as well, because it's basically a Master Ball with an asterisk that like with like a small asterisk at that point. So yeah, I think this card has a lot of potential in cube, and I think the best cube builders with it will know what's a great cube to put this card in, and what's a great card to what cubes don't need it, because I don't think it works for I don't think it works for every cube, and similar to Buddy Poffin or Scoop Up Net before it, those cards, not every cube wants that kind of effect in them. But for the cubes that do, it's an incredible consistency piece, and something that I look forward to drafting soon. All right, if you missed my original Ascended Heroes cube review, you can check that out. I'll have the link for that. What do you think about Poképad? I'm excited to use it in Standard. I'm excited to use it in Cube. I think it's a great all-around card that, because of its design, it's got some interesting interactions and some interesting potential. So I'm really excited for it. Let me know what you think in the comments, and we'll see you next time.